What was your how didn't they notice moment? I was playing hide and seek at a friend's with her younger nieces. I was a teenager and not super committed to playing games with a couple of 8-year-olds. And as a joke I put myself in a corner between a wall and a bookshelf. Picked up a pillow off the bed. And held it in front of my face. I was immediately visible once you cleared the doorway. I'm not a small person. And from the chest down I was just a person standing. Completely unobstructed. The kids came through. Looked right at me. And kept searching with growing confusion. The friend. My age. Came in behind them thinking I'd gotten somewhere in the closet. And I had to actually wave to catch her attention. Her dad even came through to join the hunt. And I had to actually clear my throat to get him to notice me. Nobody was able to spot me on their own. I was just standing in plain sight holding a pillow in front of my face. But nobody noticed. Once everybody figured it out they were in hysterics. No one believed I'd been just standing there the entire time. They were certain that I had been hiding elsewhere in the house and then got caught after I'd moved. Nope. Y'all just can't see. One day my sister mentioned in front of my dad that she'd been helping me rearrange furniture at my house. Mentions my boyfriend. My dad is all surprised. You and your boyfriend sleep in the same room? Dart. By that point, we'd been living together for 6 years. It was my BS house. My parents had been over dozens of times. Where did they think I slept? Oh. We assumed you slept in the guest room. By yourself. Edit, my family is Asian. When I was about 13 I shaved my little brother's eyebrow off. I don't know why. I panicked and drew it back on with a marker with little hope that I would get away with it and avoid my mom's anger. Somehow I got through the first day. Then the first week. Every day getting ready for school and redrawing his eyebrow on with a marker to hide it from my mom. After a couple weeks it had largely grown back and I realized that by some miracle I got away with it. Years later I came clean to my mom and she still refuses to believe that she didn't notice. Cue me and the boys playing hide and seek senior year. It's nighttime. Dark. It had previously rained. The only light is from street lights and my friend's garage. Friend A counts to 20 in the garage. We all scatter around the outside of his house and a bit further to some other houses. I decide to hide not 10 feet away. In the shadow of an AC unit right outside the garage. I was wearing full black. And I pulled my hood down to cover my entire face. I was in a crouched fetal position. I heard friend A walk past me about 5 times. From both directions. I peeked once and he even glanced directly my way. I was in plain sight. I felt like a ninja. My hair used to be extremely long. Like all the way down my back. On a whim. I decided to cut off most of it. And rock a rather short haircut. I walked around my parents' place for over an hour before they actually noticed. My friend came to work wearing new glasses one day and when she was showing them off to me I mentioned that I was surprised because I had no idea she needed glasses. She had been wearing glasses most days, on and off, for a year since we started working together. Multiple people confirmed this when I didn't quite believe her. Maybe I need glasses. V. I was the one who didn't notice. My now husband. Way back in the early days of our dating. Replaced our giant. Bulky. Old CRT TV with a nice. New flat screen with his Christmas bonus. He did not tell me any of this. I came home from work one day. Wandered past the TV and him playing video games. Into the bedroom. Back past the TV. Then the kitchen. Took me a good 45 minutes before I went, wait, something is different and I don't know what. He still had to point out to me that what was different was the old TV was missing. In boot camp when it was lights out. Many of the other recruits wouldn't sleep and would try to monologue to us about whatever. I wanted to sleep, since we always wake up at 5 AM, and they kept us awake till midnight with their debates. At the top of my motherfrickin' lungs I yelled bloody murder, shut the frick up. This went on for a while. Then I started doing it earlier and earlier, and towards the end I didn't even wait for lights out. No one besides my rack mates knew it was me. No one else ever figured out my voice or where it was coming from. My rack mates got a huge kick from it, and well, they kept it real because we needed our 4 to 6 hours of sleep. I am a high school teacher in California, and while explaining something, I accidentally drew a huge PP on my board. Confirmed not one kid noticed. I used to do customer service for a video game, can't give details, don't wanna get sued, wherein I responded to email tickets. Before sending a ticket, you were required to create an internal note wherein you documented their response and what your response was going to be, plus any additional necessary info to help conduct a search. Once, I wrote in the internal describing their message saying, "Customer send me a bunch of useless freaking poop." Because, well, they had. After repeated clear instructions, they failed to send me the correct info. So I typed it to unleash the rage. Thought I deleted it. Then the next day I come in and see I have a response. And I go to start a new internal note. And realize I had, in fact, left that line fully in the previous internal note, which can't be deleted or edited. Meaning that if anyone from the company or my workplace saw it, well, I'd be in a lot of poop. Thankfully, I did this around the holidays and we were swamped with other issues. So no one did any audits of tickets that week. Needless to say, I never played around with that again. I was buying weed a few years ago. I pulled up to an apartment complex and was waiting for the weed dude when a window in the apartment in front of me opened. A second later a little girl, maybe 10-12, crawled out. I was 21 so and buying weed, so my thought was, do I yell up? No, she could fall. Catch her, nope, there's bushes under there. Then she freaking jumped to the balcony next to the window, climbs over the railing, and tries to open the door. But she's locked out. She knocked and some irresponsible, seemingly confused parent opens it and lets her in. No one else saw. I was in class of 25 students and spilled tea on my new laptop. I said fuck decently loudly and ran my laptop to the bathroom. No one remembered seeing me spill the tea, hearing me say frick, or seeing me leave the class. Went through an entire enlistment in the Navy in a way where people thought I was dumb and I didn't bother to correct them. I let them think I was not able to fix things because they only assumed poop instead of actually asking me. I made E5 on the second try and damn near the entire command was confused as frick. I was an ET and the entire exam was on specifics about equipment maintenance and repair. To this day I get to talk to old crew members and they bring up how I fooled everyone into thinking I knew nothing so that they wouldn't bother me or wake me up from sleep to fix some poop. I used to have long hair and my granny hated it. The day after I cut my hair, lost about 8 inches, I went to lunch with her and not only did she not notice, but when I pointed it out to her she didn't believe me until I showed her a photo of me from a week prior. My boyfriend and I initially started dating in high school. Our friend group was me and a bunch of guys. And I was relatively new to the group, and worried I'd become his girlfriend if we went public too quickly. So we kept it quiet. We later stopped caring, but it was too far in to make an announcement without seeming weird. So we decided to just admit everything if anyone ever asked, but not bring it up ourselves. Well, we weren't the couple that was all over each other in public, but we were fairly affectionate. Always sitting next to each other, talking somewhat privately, playfully poking and all that. We would also hold hands on our way out of school when we didn't see anyone around. That last one is what nearly caused problems the most. Regularly someone would come up behind us and say hi, and we'd quickly drop our hands. They never seemed to notice. Shockingly, our friends were really oblivious. We figured that they were probably noticing, but not saying anything. Until one day, somehow a conversation arose about how some people are closer in our group than others. Both of our names are mentioned. And they all say that we seem like close friends. Somehow they all noticed we were close but never put two and two together. I know this because of the shock they experienced when they finally properly found out. We're still together. By the way. A few years ago, my friends and I were drunk as frick stumbling down the street to McDonald's. My best friend pulls out his pee-pee and starts peeing and walking at the same time. While this is happening, a cop passes by and gets stuck at the light about 10 yards away from us. Literally all he had to do was look to his left and he would have seen 3 teenagers who can't even walk straight laughing their asses off because one is walking and peeing. Very grateful he didn't look. My life would be a lot different if he had caught us. I absolutely destroyed this thing at an old job of mine. I nervously looked around because my co-workers were all over the place and it was loud. But no one looked. I managed to compose myself, clean it all up and make it seem like nothing had happened. Then finish the rest of my day. A week passed before they casually brought up that everyone knew and saw what happened but didn't want to help me. In high school I got pulled over for doing just a whole bunch of stuff, mostly related to trying to get away from the cop. He asked me why I did it and I said I was trying to get home by curfew at 1 o'clock. Then I looked at the clock and realized it was already like 3 o'clock, so I changed my story. Just got a warning. My parents are very strict and don't allow me or my siblings to have electronics in our bedrooms, but we'll ignore that rule and continue doing whatever we do online at night. One morning my mother came into my room to wake me up before school started and opened my curtains, which are on the window next to my bed. On the windowsill behind the curtains is where I keep my laptop, Nintendo Switch Lite, phone and sometimes iPad. She proceeded to rip my covers off and said get up before leaving my room. I had never felt utter panic before then. I am in my school's theater tech class. It's really fun and I love all the cool poop we get to do. We have this thing called the wash. It's a metal catwalk above the audience where lights shine to the stage. For this play we had to shoot poppers onto the stage. There were 3 of us. The other 2 decided to wait for my popper to go as their cue. My popper didn't go, so theirs didn't either. I was terrified the tech teacher would yell at us after the show. But he didn't. About a week later my friend, she was working by the doors, told me she saw the teacher walk in and say, "Did the poppers go?" "Looks so good they did," and then ran back out the door. IDK what this man saw, but the poppers sure as hell didn't go. So it wasn't them. One time when I still in school my mother walked into my room in the middle of my acid trip and asked me what I was doing up. I turned around instantly with probably the craziest look on my face and said I couldn't sleep. She told me to go to bed and shut my door. Tripped fricking balls that night. A couple years ago I was doing No Shave November. So I had built up a decent growth of beard. And on the last day of the month I decided to shave just half my face and keep it for 24 hours before I took the rest off too. So for one day I went around campus with beard only on the left half of my face. And you could tell that at least 80% of people's brains just extrapolated the second half of my beard because they didn't blink, while the remaining fraction would turn their heads as I walked by. I was talking about it with some friends outside my class while waiting for my professor at one point. And when she arrived my friends tried to show her my face. And it took a full 30 seconds and her putting her face a foot away from mine and peering before she suddenly jumped back and exclaimed, "Oh my gosh," at some point halfway through class she even stopped her lecture to tell me, "I really see it now and your face is very distracting." I developed bulimia and I don't think I hid it well until I mentioned it to my dad recently. No one had noticed. It sort of started as a conversion disorder when I was anxious, but I lost 20 pounds and became 100 pounds. I felt compelled to vomit after I ate. Still do. It's been a rough 8 months. Also during this time I became addicted to the tranquilizers I was given to treat my conversion disorder when it went away, and I'm trying to quit them right now. When I was 10, I took a poop inside the ruins of a medieval fortress. My grandpa walked by while I was doing my thing. Fortunately for me, he was too absorbed in his thoughts and didn't notice me, even though there were no doors. OP. Thank you for making this thread. I remembered the greatest achievement in my life. I can't believe I have never shared this story to anyone over some drinks.
Hi there. Look, if you enjoyed the video, well, why not go ahead and hit that like and subscribe to Reddit Stories. In fact, if you want to see even more responses to this thread, well then, take a look. There's the link in the description below. And remember, show some love to those authors while you're there. And I look forward to seeing you next time.